What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be looking at Lost Origin. I know I have not looked at the Lost Origin set list just yet, but today we're going to take a look at the cards that are in the set. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a review. I haven't actually looked through the cards yet because I will not be attending Peoria Regionals, so I have not really gotten back into the Pokemon mindset yet. I'm still taking my little post-Worlds hiatus. I do know Baltimore is like 2 weeks away, so I don't really get too much longer to relax, I guess. But that's still Worlds format, and I put a lot of effort into that, so I don't really care. But we're going to jump right into Lost Origin, and we're going to look at some of these cards. And this set should be pretty cool, I think. There's a lot of impactful, like the Lost Zone mechanic being brought back alongside Giratina is something that's very impactful, in my opinion. And there are some items and stadiums that can also help out a ton. So we're going to start just by going through, like Oddish and Gloom don't really do anything, but I do really like this art. It's very cute. And then we've got this Vileplume, which is really cool art with Mega Drain, 50 heal, 30, Allergy Storm 90, and if heads, they cannot play any supporter cards during their hand from their next turn. If tails, no items. A very cool lock attack, but the thing is, like, what are we supplementing the lock with? Like, what is going to be paired into this Vileplume to kind of make this lock actually sustenant, especially on a stage 2 Pokemon. So I think until the Inteleon engine rotates at the very least, you can't really play something like Vileplume, or lock strategies are not as viable because the Inteleon's engine just kind of gets you what you want. Paris and Parasect. Parasect has the, when you evolve one of your Pokemon, or this Pokemon obviously, both active or asleep and poisoned. This is really good for the Electrode, I believe, from what I remember. And I think this has an alt art as well. This guy looks very smug. If you played Arceus, you know how much of a menace this guy is. Yeah. So Wurmple and Silcoon. This is a really cool, like, squirmy gathering to grab as many Wurmple, Silcoon, Cascoon, Beautifly Dustox, put them into your hand. But 3 grass is a very steep attack cost here. This guy brought you a 3 leaf clover. Where is my 4th leaf, my friend? Beautifly has a really cool ability, allow to draw to fill your hand until you have 6 cards in your hand. But again, this is on a stage 2. So again, it's the cost of like setting this up versus how much this actually does for you. Dustox is Confuse Poison, 8 instead of 1. So you get a free 80 in between turns for a double colorless, but again, a stage 2. There's probably better stage 2s that do more than 80 for a double colorless, frankly speaking. So Seedot and Nuzleaf do not really do anything. And Shiftry is our first Lost Zone, or Lost Zone mechanic? I don't know how to describe this. Lost Zone mechanic card. Fan Tornado, 50, and have them switch, which is nothing special. But for 1 grass, we do 210, and we put this Pokemon into the Lost Zone. Now, 210 is not a number that really does anything. 240 with Choice Belt, but past that, we don't have any mods. So the question is, does this actually do anything? If the damage was maybe like 240, I could see this maybe seeing play. Goon plus Belt maybe like gets you there, but 210 just feels like a little bit too like short of actually doing something of impact. Roselia and Roserade is Roserade's cool because it's 60, and if they're affected by Special Con, you do 61 on their bench. But at the end of the day, that's like a very like meager effect on a stage 1. Trevenant is another ability Pokemon we've got here going for us. If this Pokemon is knocked out from an opponent's V attack, your opponent doesn't take a prize card, which can be very impactful. It's just that the attack is 2 grass and 1 colorless, and it can't attack during your next turn. So you kind of wall yourself off, and I don't know, like, it just feels like you're doing, and 120 HP is just a perfect number for Inteleon to come in and smack you as well. So it's like you're doing so much for so little. But this ability on something else could be absolutely broken. Orbeetle, another Orbeetle. I'm assuming it's another lock card. Nope, I lied. When you evolve this Orbeetle, you can attach 3 energy from your opponent's discard pile to their Pokemon any way you like. I don't know why you would want to do that. I guess the attack is 30 plus 50 for each energy attached to your opponent's active, so you can just like surprise one-shot them out of nowhere. But I feel like they would know what's coming if they see an Orbeetle. Like, I feel like this would be very telegraphed if they know what the card does. So I don't think this is very good. And that concludes the grass segment of this video. Let's jump into the fire guys. So another put this card into the Lost Zone, put all energy attached to this Pokemon to the Lost Zone for the Macargo for Fire colorless 220. But Fire colorless is the problem. It has to be Fire double colorless, makes it easier, but Fire colorless means you have to like, I don't think there's any fire acceleration in the format right now. No, I don't think so. But Abyssal Volcano. But 220 is another interesting number. Again, just shy of what we want it to be. Choice Belts Goon puts us at 260. Quick Shooting maybe, but like Inteleon Macargo doesn't seem like a very good deck. And Inteleon Engine takes up so much space. So, again, not very good. This Torkoal, not very good. Sorry. Litwick. I always love mill cards, so discard the top card from your opponent's deck. That's pretty funny. I love mill. Oh, Mountain Burner, once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve, you may discard the top 3 cards from your opponent's deck. Pretty cool. We've got a mill 3 card, but it's on stage 2 once again. So what can we do to actually use this efficiently? Like even if we use nets and lampants, I think top entry lampant is still legal. I think top entry lampant is still legal for a couple more months. So maybe you can play like a top entry based deck, but then if you net this lampant back up, or like the lampant that you evolve into, it's not like you're going to be able to get that Chandelure off as efficiently. So like, what do you do? Play like a 4/4 line with candies even, and then just kind of hope to reuse them. I don't know. This mill strategy has to be very good. I don't think it's very tough to pull that off. Delphox V is a Lost Zone V Pokemon, or like Lost Mechanic V Pokemon. And so for Fire colorless, 120, put 2 energy cards attached to this Pokemon to the Lost Zone, and does 120 to one of your opponent's bench. So 120 Snipe is actually pretty good. The downsides are it is weak to water, and that it requires Fire colorless as opposed to Fire double colorless. If it was Fire double colorless, and it was put 2 energy cards, that would still be fine because you get one big pop off with this guy. To either clean up or set up some knockouts, but Manaphy is still in the format. So I think Delphox is probably like a 1 out of 5 card, or maybe a 1.5 out of 5. Not a very good card right now. I think maybe there's potential for it in the future, but yeah. 4 damage counters instead of 2 for burn, and then Fire double colorless 90 if heads their burn. So not even an auto burn, which I think is like puts this card like right into the like bulk bin. Poliwag, Poliwhirl, Politoed. 10 plus 60 if Poliwag is on your bench. 90 if Poliwhirl is on your bench. 120 if Poliwrath is on your bench. I'm assuming this does not stack. Like, it's not like a 10 plus 60 plus 90 plus 120. I think this is like a 10 plus 60 or 10 plus 90 or 10 plus 120. If it did stack, however, that could be pretty nasty because we're attacking for twin energies and doubles. And you can just play like a poly deck. So if someone knows the answer to that, please correct me in the comments. I believe it's not stacking. I believe it's just like one or the other. But if it does stack, that'd be kind of interesting. Seal, Dugong. The swim free. I know there's something with swim freely in here. If heads, no damage. 40x water energy from your Pokemon in your deck. This could be kind of cute. I know there's a swim freely attack. This can attack for twins, but you probably want to keep it at waters. Can play like a pseudo new Krabbe deck, where it's like the single prize water box deck, but with the new attackers. We'll go straight to Kingdra. Once your turn, you can choose either player, and they shuffle their hand. It's like you force someone to Marnie for 4. But the problem is like this attack is pretty bad, and getting this out seems like a lot of work. So it's a very cool like support mon, and this could be very good in like some sort of control archetype or something that I don't know. Like it seems like it has potential. It could be a really cool cube card. Maybe it's too OP in cube. I don't know. Love Disc. Just exists. They both reveal to and put them in. That's cute. Shellos doesn't do anything here. This is the one, yeah, Finian. You might touch a water from your hand to one of your Pokemon that has swim freely, so you can just like load up this Dugong and kind of, but shuffling the energies into the deck is a little bit worse because you're not getting them back into your hand. And there's like no reliable way to get energies back into your hand because we don't have cards like Professor's Letter, Energy Spinner. We have E-Search, I guess. But I don't think there's like a great way to keep the chain going. But it could be really cool. Because you could go into Dugong to just like clean up a big knockout and then just kind of chill for a couple turns because then you buy yourself time. And you can maybe play like, I don't know, just like chill for a couple turns, like just drizzle up your hand and vibe. Luminion, once again, is another Swim Freely card, but this is probably not one you're going to play. Snover and Abomasnow. How much does Luminion do actually? 120? No, that's not good enough. Both of these are pretty bad. It looks like a watercolors for 160 and does 30 to itself. That's not playable. Surprise attack 40 if tails, nothing. Yeah, that's funny. 20x for each basic energy in your discard pile and then shuffle them in your deck. It's another shuffle into the deck for colorless. But the problem is, again, how are we getting these energies into our discard pile reliably and quick enough to make this Basculin actually worth playing? Like all of these cards need a way to like what is the reason for me to play this over a V deck that can like just evolve and start attacking me, or just like set up like just like Palkia can attack. Like, how am I getting enough basics into my discard pile to justify playing this card and then do it again because I'm shuffling them back into my deck is the question. There is a Ducklet and a Swanna. I'm not like the biggest fan of these clay arts, but they're like, this one's cute. This is probably like the clay and the Stitch arts are probably like the ones I'm not the biggest fans of. I don't know why. I think like little claymation stuff when I was a kid freaked me out. That's probably it. Chiron V Max is probably just a... people are saying it's a better Ice Rider. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. You can go unlimited damage technically to discard water energies from this guy to do, but 3 is 270. Ice Rider already hits for 250. Choice Belt 300 for both. 300 plus 280 or whatever, so the numbers don't really change. I think 280 is a fine number to hit already, but you can play Chiron VMAX in your Ice Rider, giving you the ability to just Ice World, attach, and rather than play for a Melanie strategy. So you can play like Energy Retrieval or Nessa plus a Rangaroo, put the energy back on top, and then just accelerate it back on, attach for turn, and then pop your opponent. Or you can go Ice World, the energy, attach for turn, and then Leon to get the numbers you need. So it prevents you from having to Melanie, so I think a light Chiron VMAX line in some decks like that are water type could be very good. This Cramorant is very cool, I think, as well, because it's only 4 cards in your Lost Zone, which is like very feasible to do on your first turn of the game with Colorless Experiment, as well as, I think, Colorless Experiment, plus Comfey, and you can basically just get the 4 cards and just 110 for basically no reason, and you're just 110ing people. Like, you're just insta 110ing, and I think this is like a really cool card to trade, and just have an off-price attacker. This Glastrier does not seem good. This Pika Pika has Pika Dash. It's just a Pikachu in the set. Like, nothing good. If you've used your V-Star, 120 more. So Lightning Double Colors, this could be cute. It's just an evolution Pokemon. 220 for basically like a guaranteed 220. I don't know. That feels cool, but I don't think it's enough. An homage to the old Manectric EX with the 80 plus 80 if they have the tool attached. But 160 again does not feel like enough on the stage 1 when everything else in the format can do more. Magnezone V, Lightning pulling Magnetism, switch their active, does 40 to the new one. That's pretty bad. 90, 30 to 2 for Lightning Double Colorless. That could be okay, but I'm probably not attacking with the V, so let's check the V-Star. 180, search for 2 items and put them in your hand. That's pretty good. That's actually pretty insane for a Lightning Double. So 160 with Turbo, 190 with Belt. I mean, 160 is already a good enough number to 2-shot anything. And that gets you any 2 items, so that's pretty cool to keep your chain going of whatever you want to do, because most items can kind of keep you going in the game. And then Electro V-Star is 90 to 2 benched Pokemon, which is, I think this V-Star is like meh at best, but like sniping is fine, I guess. I don't know. The snipe probably doesn't seem, I don't know. The Magnetic Grip seems like a very cool attack. I really like this, and especially like, you're not playing this in a lightning box probably, but you can play like Raihans and stuff, and then you can use, I don't know, if you play like an item heavy deck, like play Lotto to find your DTE, or play like, I guess the problem is you're not one-shotting anything, but you are one-shotting Palkias. You're not flying Pika for sure, but you're one-shotting flying Pika as well, actually. So maybe this is something. Maybe this is a good counter deck come a new format. Like, maybe like Magnetic Grip is the attack we need to just offset both of these big beasts and set up. But again, yeah, we'll see. Rotom V is draw 3 if you do your ability, the hand ends. And then 40 plus 40 for each tool from your discard pile into the Lost Zone. And I think there's like a bunch of tool cards that actually do this. Double Lightning is a little bit of a pain to pull off, but you can do it. This is a cool deck. I want to try working on this deck a little bit. I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially because I think these are like, it's just a deck that I think is cool. Dynamo, Electric. You can para on flip for the eel, and then Big Eel is pretty bad. This Clefairy is actually really cool. I think this Clefairy has a ton of potential. I actually like really want to try this out. Like, one of the first decks I want to try is Moonwatching. You may search your deck for a Psychic attached to your bench Clefairy, then shuffle your deck. If this Pokemon is in the active. Wait, that's a lot worse than I thought it was. I thought it was just if you could do it during your... I thought you could just do it during your turn. It's two retreat, so I go Balloon. I can do 2 Clefairies, net. I mean, I'm not going to net my Clefairies. I guess I can power it all up to 1 Clefairy. That seems actually way worse than just playing Shadow Rider. Okay, that's depressing. That's depressing. Okay, I guess we're not making Clefairy work. I thought the ability was completely different. Um, okay, yeah. Dragon types are not really relevant at the current moment with Soul Protection, so we don't really need to deal with that. Ghastly, put a damage counter. Hunter put 3. This Gengar is actually the card that is the probably one of the better cards in the set. With Creeping Back, once during your turn, you can put it on your discard pile to bench if you do 3 damage counters. And Shrieking Circle is also a really cool attack because it's like pretty much an auto like 60 to 80 every single scenario. And it could also be 100, so you can always like two-shot something pretty easily with Gengars. And Gengar, you're kind of using it for the Hisuian Zoroark strategy. Or maybe there's like a Psychic deck that just this can be really good in. Just to like accelerate into your Gengars, get them onto the board, and be able to use Shrieking Circle over and over and over again to get damage in. This Mime has a Rock, Paper, Scissors attack, which is terrifying. Trick Slap, Rock, Paper, Scissors, and then any damage prevent. But there's so many Shred attackers that it doesn't even matter, I think. Summoning Dance, just switch. Radiant Gardevoir is pretty cool. I think the 20 minus from Pokemon V attacks could be relevant to a lot of decks that are planning to tank, especially Hisuian and Gudra. And then 70 plus 30, or 70 plus 20 for each energy attached to their active is a good way to clean things up. Like it can be an attack out of nowhere, like even with double turbo, like you're swinging for 70 at the very minimum, or like 50, I guess, at the very minimum. And that's something that can clean up games out of nowhere with this, like because a lot of the Radiant Mons, the ones they can attack have been very, I mean, Greninja is the prime example. This Sableye is very cool. I really like this card with the Lost Mine. If you have 10 or more, place 12 damage counters. But I think getting to 10 Lost Zone cards is like 3 turns maybe. Like I think on average you probably need 3 turns to pull that off. But I do think that if you can get those 3 turns off, that the Sableye can be very good. Mawile is meh. This Banette is very cool because it can basically pitch itself into the Lost Zone. I'm assuming the Shuppet... No, it's just this Pokemon, right? So it's just one. So we're not actually taking Shuppet with us. But it says discard all non-Pokemon. I don't know. If it's taking both these, that's pretty cool. And then you get a supporter back. So it's a free VS Seeker, but again, it's 2 slots, so it comes down to what you actually value. The Cresselia has it's just not a good attack. This baby Hisuian Zoroark does have the bring 1 card back from your discard pile ability, which is really cool. And Hex of Ruin is actually a really cool attack as well. It's just there's so much switching and pivoting and navigating. It's just you can't in this format. This Malamar is funny. Synchrokinesis 30 plus 90 if you have a similar or same card in each of your hands, which I guess is the supporters more than anything, and maybe the items. Very rarely will it be Pokemon if you're playing Malamar. Like I don't know what world you're sitting across the table and you're gonna be like, oh, you got an NK? I got an NK, bro. So it's funny, but it's not good. Comfey, I think, is the best. I'm gonna say I think it's the best card in the set. I think being able to look at your top 2 cards, putting one in the Lost Zone, and putting one into your hand is actively thinning your deck very quickly. And for turbo engines, you're not cluttering up your discard. Well, you're not giving, like, you're literally just like burning resources very aggressively. Like between Comfey and Mew, you have so many ways to look at the top few cards of your deck as you're moving through your deck, that being able to aggressively just pivot and turbo out your deck feels very good. Now, obviously, this doesn't work in like stuff like Dialga or Turbo Palkia, but like Turbo Giratina, Turbo Arceus, maybe like a lot of these decks can utilize this Comfey very well. And I think this card is very, very good with flower picking. Mimikyu has Worst Gift 10 times. Oh, just test 10 for each damage counter on all your opponent's Pokemon. So you can Sableye into a Mimikyu, which I think I really like. The problem is like how far behind are we going to fall before we can pull off these kinds of combos. Spectrier is not very good. And Amorous, as long as this Pokemon's in your active, prevent all effects of opponent's abilities done to your Pokemon's Psychic, except for an Amorous V. Not very good. 100 and then 2 Excel. If it was just like a double colorless, like maybe 80 Excel too, it could be pretty good. But I think because it's 2 attachments as opposed to 1 for a pretty mediocre attack, I would not play it. Hisuian Arcanine is very cool. I really like this card. Granbull was one of my favorite decks in that format. I had a lot of fun playing Granbull, and having another deck that goes to a 0-card hand consistently is very cool to me with the Hisuian Arcanine. Obviously, we don't have Makarga and Oranguru anymore in this format. Makarga, Oranguru, Granbull, just to set up your whole board and just like going ham, basically. Um, Polyrath, Machop, Machamp is 3 or fewer, you get 150. The problem is for double fighting, you're not actually doing that much damage. Like, you're choosing to do 200 on an attack, and then you're not attacking again the next turn, which is like a pretty bad trade-off. So I wouldn't do that. Rhyhorn, Rhydon, Rhyperior is discard the top card of your deck with an energy, does 100 more, then attach that discard energy to its Pokemon, which is pretty cool. You can basically set up around that. But Colossal VMAX existed for a long time, and we didn't like use anything of that nature. So Aerodactyl V, not good, but the V-Star, I think, has potential. Fighting, double colorless, 240, discard the top 3. 240, Belt Goon, we're hitting for 260 with a DTE, but if we can like accelerate slowly, maybe it's fine. And 3 into the Lost Zone seems okay. Ancient Star is that you basically say that nobody else has abilities. So like you could go first with Aerodactyl, get into the V-Star, and then use this Ancient Star V-Star power with the attack on turn 2, and basically shut off Starbirth, shut off Star Portal, shut off like, I mean, those are the two big ones, right? Like you shut those two off, then you're just like super far ahead. Like, I don't know, like Crobats don't have abilities. Luminion doesn't have abilities. Like Arceus loses its biggest ability. Now, that being said, I think you have to win the flip for this to actually work. But the idea that you can do that seems really cool to me, and I'm sure there's some sort of concept we can make work. I hit spacebar, so we're going to keep moving, I guess. The game wants me to keep going. Sudowoodo, nothing to write home about. Gligar, Gliscor, 50x4, flip 2 or more is paralyzed. That's actually very cool, but I think 2 fighting, again, makes it pretty bad. Metacham, check for 2 fighting, attaching to your bench Pokemon whenever you like. So on a stage 1, it's really disappointing. Again, Deep Dive, 2 basic energies, it's not very good. Gastrodon has the Recover and Earthquake. I don't think that's what the text says. But again, these are like very steep costs for these attacks. Same with the Mienfoo. Same with this Landers. Like, it feels like these cards are like kind of being printed. This Barbacle is actually insane. Ability Lost Block, as long as the Pokemon's in play, your opponent puts any prize cards they would take in the Lost Zone instead of putting them into their hand. So you could play around that. Like, you could put a Barbacle up, start like swinging, and you could basically be like, hey, you're killing my Barbacle this turn, or you're killing my Giratina, and if they're not damaging your Giratina, you get to buy a turn. So maybe you can play like Barbacle plus stuff to just basically create as many threats as possible, and just like disrupt your opponents and like lock them down to a lower hand size. Cardbank has a really cool attack as well. Search it up for 2 items, put them into your hand. Unfortunately, we have so many things that can already do that without being your attack. Rockruff, draw 2. Stonejourner, attach 2 fighting from your hand to any Pokemon you like. That's not bad, actually. But again, fighting triple colorless for 120 and put the top card of your opponent's deck in the Lost Zone, that's steep for a 1-prizer. Like, I am not doing that on a 1-prizer. Spinarak, Ariados, 10 plus 30 for each energy in your opponent's active retreat cost. That's not very good. And then 80 in poison. So a very standard Ariados card. The Honchkrow being able to move the energies around is actually pretty cool. But it's fighting, it's dark colorless, so it's not like dark double colorless, so it's not like Yveltal where you keep chaining. Like 160 is a very good number. Don't get me wrong, but yeah. Spiritomb, build a curse message. If this Pokemon is knocked out, search your deck for a card, put it in your hand. The problem is that Soul Chain is double darks and not dark colorless, or even double colorless. So it makes it much more difficult to pull off the Soul Chain, and you're capping at, I mean, I guess you could cap with the Ditto at 250, which would be pretty cool, but Ditto would be pretty telegraphed on what your strategy is. Drapion V is almost exclusively, I think, an answer for Mew decks. I guess if you're playing against Rapid Strike like Urshifu or something, you can attack for 2 less, but you're doing 60 to one of your own guys and you're weak to fighting, so you're never putting that in play. There's no single strike deck that we're realistically like worried about in this format. Drapion V-Star is not very good either. It just poisons, paralyzes the active, and it's 3 damage counters instead of 1, which is like, I don't know, that's so bad for a V-Star. Like, I am using my one, like, think about that, like Star Hazard compared to Starbirth, like, come on, man. Dark colors, 250 and 10 minus for each damage counter on this Pokemon could be okay. But again, Dark, colorless is not very good. Drapion is exclusively going to be in decks to deal with Mew, because you can just slam this Drapion, take a 3-prize knockout on Mew, and hopefully that should put you far enough in the lead to win the game. Or if you play like Drapion plus Rod, being able to go Drapion should win you a game. Darkrai, another Inkay. Oh boy. Genie Hand, search your deck for a Dark attached to one of your Pokemon. That's not very good either. Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, another Radiant Pokemon in the array of stuff that we've already got to work with. 2 more damage counters on your opponent's poison Pokemon during poison checkup. So I guess paired with Drapion, we can now do 5 damage counters. Not very strong in my opinion. Radiant Steelix is the meme card with the energy beam. Not the energy beam. Finishing Ren, Metal Colorless. Discard cards until you have 1 left, and 30 for each energy card. So I guess you could theoretically, in some world, finish the game off with like attach an energy to Radiant Steelix to turn in advance, Raihan attach. But I feel like if you're ever doing this, you're so it's so late in the game that it doesn't even matter. And there's no real good way to like shuffle energies back in besides like the Basculin or Basculin's what we saw earlier. Basculegion, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Bronzor is not home about. Bronzong is not good either. This Bronzor better for this Bronzor is 70 HP to retreat, so it might be better for the heat proof Bronzong, for example. Stadium discard. Oh, okay. So you can discard your opponent's stadium and then discard 2 from their active. But this is like really situational because they have to have the stadium, and that's not something that I don't know. It's so situational. Metal double colorless, 60 plus 60 if you have a tool attached, which is not bad. It just confuses, not a great type. Galarian Berserker V, feeling fine. Draw 3. Treasure Rush, 20 times 20 for each card in your hand. That could be okay. It's just that maintaining big hand sizes is tough with Marnie in the format. So I think Berserker gets bodied until that happens, or until Marnie leaves. Giratina V and V-Star are probably the like second or third best. Like I think Comfey is still the best, but afterwards it's Giratina. With Abyss Seeker, look at the top 4, put 2 in your hand and 2 in the lost zone. 160 with Shred is very good because now you have your baby that has Shred into things like Miltank, some of these more annoying cards. And then with Grass Psychic Colorless, you have 280 and put 2 energy attached to your Pokemon in the lost zone. 280 is a absolutely perfect number to one-shot any V-Star in the game. With Choice Belt, you're not one-shotting V-Maxes as well, which is really good. You can even play like Jammer or Big Charm on your own end to prevent yourself from getting one-shot, which I really enjoy as well. And then for Grass Psychic, your Star Requiem V-Star power, getting 10 cards into the lost zone, means you can just pop the active for free, which is going to be very easy to do because you can go Lost Impact into a Star Requiem into another Lost Impact to close out the game. Almost certainly, because you can probably get 4 prizes off of 1 Giratina and then end the game in that route. Or at least that's how I like imagine it in my head. Maybe that's not how it's going to go in practice. Gumi, Sliggoo. This Gudra's not what I'm talking about. Any basic metals? Yeah, okay. So Hisuian Gudra V is also, I think, very good because it's a big tank. Basically, I mean, you're not going to attack with the V. That's a baby because it's Water Metal Colorless, 140, and they take 30 less. But the big guy says 200, and you take 80 less, which is crazy. Like, 80 is a lot of damage. So you can go 200 and do 80 less. And then you can play cards like Cook, PCL, Hyper Potion, stuff like that to keep healing. And then you have Moisture Star to just heal all damage from this Pokemon one time. And if you play something like the Gardevoir, you're taking 100 less now every time you Iron Roll out. Yes, they can boss around the Gudra, but I feel like it's going to be very difficult to deal with like a solo Gudra plus friends. Pidgeot is going to be a really cool card for control because you can just shuffle this and all attached into your deck randomly. Like you don't have any condition. It's not like Suicune where you had to draw 1. Like nothing. It's just throw it back in. And just so you can keep your loop going in some sort of infinite manner. Obviously, that is a V Pokemon, so Path to the Peak will hurt it. So you can't really lock. You can't keep a lock going with Path, but there's probably other ways to lock. Or there will be. If there is Sander, we'll figure it out. So, like another thing. This Porygon's cool because it's not the Porygon. Porygon 2 is cool because it's for Junk Blaster 20x the number of each tool card in both players' lost zones. So you can start with the Rotom and go into the Porygon pretty aggressively, and then yeah, that's just it. And then Porygon Z can just reduce one guy's evolution. So you can be like, hey, you've got a V-Star, now let's go to a V, and just throw it back into the deck and then knock it out. So that's actually pretty funny. Like you can play one Porygon Z to close out a game. Like a 4-4-1, I think would be like an ideal line. Snorlax has Tranquil Blubber, prevent all effects of attacks. But there's so many Shred, so it doesn't even matter. This Ambipom is cool because you can flip until you get tails and get any cards out of your deck, but like one tails and like that's nothing. That's a little bit of a cost. It's a pretty bad trade off, but it's a funny card. Hisuian Zoroark V-Star. One of the other cards that is kind of talked about in the set with Baleful Curse. 50x the number of Pokemon on your board that has any damage counters on it, meaning with it's all 6 of your Pokemon having damage counters on them, which is pretty easy to pull off with the Gengar plus the pump card to move the damage around. You can, with Gape Jaw Bog as well, you're swinging for 270, choice belt 300, basically perfect numbers. And if you're also playing, I don't know, like a Goon or something, you can just get to 280, which is like perfect numbers. And then Phantom Star is just discard, draw 7. Downside is you're weak to fighting and you need to have damage counters on you. So by putting one damage counter on you and filling your bench, you're already very susceptible to Palkia in a myriad of situations. Like Palkia is still going to be king. You're going to have to find a way to deal with Palkia. You will absolutely destroy Arceus decks. You will absolutely probably destroy Giratina decks. But the problem is, again, Arceus. Or not Arceus, Palkia. Buffalant is not very good either. This Komala's got a pretty cool ability. 'Twas all a dream. If it's knocked out while it's asleep, then no prizes, which is funny. Greedent is not very good either. It's just discard a bunch of cards from your hand. Yo, chill. Now we're up to the items and trainers and whatever. Like, this is like the bulk of the set where I think it gets really good. Arc Phone is not very good. I don't know if there's any deck that revolves around switching prize cards or we need to switch prize cards. I think Heavy Ball does a job for us well enough. Arezu is 3 evolution that don't have a rule box, so it's just like a worse, I don't know, search card. Box of Disaster is attach a tool to one of your Pokemon that doesn't have a tool. And if the V this is attached to had full HP and is knocked out, put H damage counter. So you can put like this on your Rotom on the turn you're swinging, and then like when your Rotom gets knocked, you get the 8 damage counter, setting you up for that Porygon 2 turn. Colorless Experiment is one of the top 5 cards in the set. Coincidentally, you look at the top 5 of your deck, put 3 of them into your hand, and put the rest into the Lost Zone, which is a very, very strong card. It basically is like Sage's Training, and if you're playing like a turbo aggressive deck like the Comfy Engine, or even like Arceus Giratina, or even just straight Giratina, you're going to be able to get to that Giratina number very quickly, that Cramorant number very quickly. That Sableye number is going to take a little bit of time, but you'll get there. Damage Pump is the card I'm talking about. Move 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. So you can go Gengar, that's 3 damage counters, Damage Pump, move the 1/1. Now you have 3 Pokemon with damage counters on them. Gape Jaw Bog, and then you're active, or like even 3 Gape Jaw Bog procs with 1 Stadium. And you're chilling. Like, it literally takes 1 damage pump to basically get to max damage on Hisuian Zoroark with Gape Jaw Bog. So, like, I think that's very reasonable to pull off. And you can just play 4 anyway, because it's, like, not that bad of a card in general. Especially if you want to swing for less damage and you just want to put all your damage in one place. Fantina is only play if you have 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone. You take 120 less from V Pokemon. This would be a really cool card in Goodra if we could make it work, but I don't think Goodra wants to be Lost Zoning cards. I think it's going to be having to go in like a Giratina deck of some sort, but I think Fantina does have potential. Iskin is not very good. Lady is just a reprint. Lake Acuity is very good for the Goodra deck because it's water or fighting energy attached. Take 20 less from Pokemon's attacks. So now with the attack plus the Gardevoir, we're taking 120 less, which is a lot of damage being mitigated. Like, now Pokemon are not doing any damage at all. We can Cook Heal, we can PCL Heal, like, we're okay. Lost City is when a Pokemon's knocked out, put it into the Lost Zone instead of discarding it. Now this card, you probably play a 1 of, or maybe even 2 of in your Lost Zone decks, because like if your Comfy goes down, you just want it to be in the Lost Zone instead of like in your discard, because like that +1 could be the quicker proc to one of the cards we're about to talk about in a second, Mirage Gate. But yeah, Lost Vacuum is very cool as well. You can put a card from your hand in your Lost Zone, and then you can choose either Tool or Stadium and put it in the Lost Zone. So this is really cool for Path as well. Like, I think getting rid of Path and Jammer, like finally having a way to do this with this. I mean, I think Scrapper is still fine, but having a way to do this and target a Stadium, so it's like another Path answer, is very cool. Like, I think having another card to deal with Path to the Peak that is not Pumpkaboo or your counter Stadium is very cool, because I think like Field Blower was a very ingenious card for what it was, and I think Lost Vacuum is similarly smart. Mirage Gate is probably one of the best cards as well in this set. You can only play if you have 7 or more. Search your deck for 2 basic energies of different types and attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. So you can get a Grass and a Psychic, Water Fighting, I don't know, like whatever 2 you want, and just pull them out and attach them in any way. So you can attach to 2 different Tinas, attach to 1 Tina on top of that, and then start swinging. The Misfortune Sisters is top 5 cards of your deck, discard items, and then shuffles the rest. But I don't know why that's... I mean, it's control, right? This is just a control card because you look at your opponent's top 5 and then, yeah. Panic Mask, 40 HP or less. This is like a spread. Like once I spread I spread on the board with my Sableye, I just go Panic Mask, and then I can't lose kind of thing. Like I'm just preventing myself from getting like beaten at the end, which is really cool for a deck like Sableye, which is what I want to try. So Riley is top 5 cards. Ask your opponent to choose 2, discard the cards they choose, and put the other cards in your hand. That's dangerous. That's too much power for my opponents. No way. Choose a basic Pokemon in your hand, switch it with the basic Pokemon in play. Or discard pile, sorry. It's basically just like a Ninja Boy for my discard. I don't know like where we would use that for Thornton. I'd have to figure out the scenario. I'd have to figure out like what the better cards are. Toolbox is top 7. Get any tools, put them in your hand. Really good for the deck that we talked about already. Volo is discarded. Just discard it. Just get rid of it. I mean, if you can go Volo into... Wait. Oh, nope. That's not what I meant to... Okay. I have pressed too many buttons. I wanted to see where Lost City was. What the text on Lost City reads. It's knocked out. Okay. I was going to say if a Pokemon is, like, removed from play in general, we could go Volo onto, like, a Tina that's already damaged. Get, like, I don't know, like, 4 more cards into the Lost Zone, and then we can use, like, the other attack or something. But that's not how it works. Wind Up Arm is just, you can attack if it's asleep or paralyzed. This is clearly built for Electrode, which is in this set right here. Why is it only a full art? Interesting. Gift Energy is 1 colorless, and if it's knocked out, you get 7, fill your hand to 7, which is basically just Lucky Egg as an energy, which I think is really cool. Hisuian Electrode is 100 for each special condition on this Pokemon, so you can pair Sect Evolve, get to 2, and then play like Spicy Curry, go to 3, and do 300 to one-shot anything for free, which is really good, but you need the Wind Up Arm to kind of attack with the Asleep Para. But it's a very clear combo that's synergistically set up there, and I think this could be very, very, very good. Like, I think this could be very good, just based on, like, the cards. Like, I think you could play, like, a turbo, like, Hisuian Electro, just win in 3 attacks deck. Like, yeah. Delphox V, full art. Kyurem V, full art. Let's see. I'm just trying to double check if I missed any full arts. Beautiful alt art. I really want this one. My best friend in real life, not a Pokemon friend, loves Rotom, so I want to get him that for sure. This Aerodactyl is one of my favorite arts I've ever seen in my whole life. I really want this card in person. An Amorous Ew. Am I missing something? Was the Galliot a card that we have to talk about? 20 plus 50 for each prize card I've already taken. 130, no resistance. Okay, that doesn't matter. The Berserker, this Giratina is also... I don't know how this will look in real life. I'm very apprehensive to see it. A Rezu, all these, yep. Full art Colorless Experiment. I like how all the Colorless full arts are like him with the glasses in the forefront of the card. And that seems to be the whole set, I think. Where's Trainer's Gallery, in case we're missing something here? These are just reprints, I believe. Like, that's Leon Zard. That's the Gengar we saw earlier in the set. There's the Arcanine. There's the Banette. That's Single Strike Banette. There's a Spiritomb from the set. Castorum's from something else, I believe. Orbeetle VMAX, Pikachu VMAX, like Eternatus VMAX. Like, these are all reprints. And then we have, like Lysander Boss, and then we have, like, Adventures Discovery, Cook, Kabu, Nessa, Opal. Like, some of the... Yeah, okay. So, that's the set. I think Lost Origin's going to be a crazy cool set. I will not be a Peoria. I do expect the metagame to be heavy Palkia dominated still, with a couple of Lost Zone style decks doing well. And I think Magnezone could have a little bit of an impact. I will be at Salt Lake City, so that'll be one where, that happens. So thank you guys for watching. I will be doing my buy list sometime later this week. I know that someone wanted to see my point breakdown from the 2019 to 22 season, how I got my points, so I'm going to have to do that when I'm not being lazy, sorry. And then, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back with more Pokemon content for you guys. Peace out.